Hello, you lovelies, and welcome to Coycast, a podcast where myself, Coy Jandro, whom you know from many corners of internet nerdery, talks people, talks movies, talks comic books. That is the core of this here program. Hopefully, if you're new to this, you like any of those things. I am joined, as always, by the cast in Coycast, the one and only Jake Lloyd Bacon, who makes this all possible. How are you, Jake?
I'm delightful. I like that. It sounds like it could just mean that I've just been hired as cast. Like I'm just playing.
Yeah, I like that. I was thinking you're the broadcast part of
exactly.
Coycast.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of as tree number 3
cast.
is cast. Yeah. He's been cast. We're gonna figure out
playing Jake Lloyd Bacon
as Jake Lloyd Bacon, who in fact started this show as Jake Lloyd. So he has now been cast as Jake Lloyd Bacon.
It's like a Nick Cage in Unbearable Talent thing.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage.
Nicholas.
And I think he is Nick with a K in the credits to make him not on IMDb as Self, which is such a SAG joke.
Listen, I started the show also as Jake Lloyd Bacon. It was just people.
You were credited.
People didn't know.
You were credited differently, which is still very funny if you're going to be cast.
I still get like people who have known me for a long time. Like I don't know how, because it's like social media. It's been 4 years since I did.
It was within the first 2 months of the show.
Since I embraced my full name, and I still have people being like, "Wait, what's this Bacon stuff I see?"
It's been half a decade of Bacon. What do you want from me?
And they're like, wait, I don't understand. How hard is it to understand?
You got married to your own identity.
Yeah, exactly.
You added a last name.
Listen, it happens.
Speaking of family, it's Thanksgiving.
It's next week will be Thanksgiving.
The real late Thanksgiving.
And I'm just gonna assume it's gonna be a tumultuous Thanksgiving for many Americans.
I'm sure it's gonna be fine. Everyone's gonna do great. Everyone's gonna go home and have themselves. I mean, there's a reason nobody makes movies about Thanksgiving and family time, because it's such a civil, normal time.
That's not true. There was that movie that got made that was really good with Ike Barinholtz and Tiffany Haddish.
I was vaguely being sarcastic because I consider Thanksgiving a fairly common theme in film.
Oh no, I thought you were being literal.
Oh no, there's like only one movie called Thanksgiving, but the idea of going home to family is.
Oh, but I feel like that's the thing you see online all the time is like, what other Thanksgiving movies are there other than Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
It's more like a scene than a movie. That's fair.
Yeah, there's not like a
cornerstone.
It's that. Oh, The Oath, I think, is what that movie was called.
818-794-0722. You let us know what Thanksgiving movies are, because other than Eli Roth's Thanksgiving, I can't think of any movies that are foundational.
Was that the one where it was like a pilgrim murdering people or something?
And it was based on the short in Don't, which is one of the best, funniest bits in Grindhouse.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Did you see Grindhouse?
Yeah, a long time ago.
There were trailers in the middle,
I remember. That's
and one of them was
we got
for Thanksgiving.
From. Oh.
And that was born now into a full feature 10 years later.
I must have blocked that
That's
out of my
okay. It's
mind.
been a decade. But yeah, I think there's movies where like that's a cornerstone. Maybe it's TV. I know a lot of drama takes place at Thanksgiving. So we thought we'd go the other way. We are a podcast of positivity. We want to talk about, I think, at our core.
Just because there's a smiley face on your shirt right now.
3 of them.
There's 3 smiley faces on Coy's shirt. I didn't even see the other 2.
That's what I try to bring to a party. 3 smiley faces. I try to bring the festive. I think overall I'm positive. I think the burnout Coy gets pretty down, but
there's been some episodes.
Oh no, I mean I'm not saying immaculate. I'm saying I'm more lemonade than lemons.
Let me rephrase that. There have been my favorite episodes.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say maybe that's you're looking
bitter
at
Coy when I just get to like
thrive,
relax,
just
dude.
Breathe in. What's the thing? The yellow car effect. There's a term for it, a psychological term. It's one of my favorite concepts. It's like when you buy a yellow car, all of a sudden you see yellow cars. So it's like when you seek out like affirmation.
Oh yeah,
bias.
yeah. That's I know I've never heard it called the yellow car effect, but I definitely know that like if you're looking for something, you're just more.
You'll see it all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's me with positivity. Is it's like, well, I could either see the world is on fire, or I could go like, hey, I get to talk about comics for a living. I'm gonna find some positive. And I think I want the show to be that as best we can. I think we generally talk about positivity unless we're mending steel.
Hey, that was
but
very
even
positive.
That, but
I
even
made
that,
something better.
Even that is positive.
Made it better.
So we're going to talk in this episode of Positivity about the things this year we have been thankful for. I realized when Jake brought this idea up that we do a letterboxed for the year, and we do kind of like holiday stuff, but we've never really we don't do like greatest hits. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to do like a thankful take on that.
Yeah, no, we never do greatest hits because you need hits.
You know, we've lived through some good pop culture. We discover some dopeness.
Yeah, but I don't experience it for 3 years.
Oh, that's fair. That's true. You catch it when it's on VOD. It's like past its
I'm on a
first wave.
cultural delay.
It's okay.
I'm like Australia, or I don't know what country gets
I don't
stuff
even
late.
know. I think
Let's
Australia.
say New Zealand. New Zealand's
that seems
funny.
like it'd be delayed.
That's a good one.
Sure.
Yeah.
Everyone that listens to us from New Zealand right now is like, oh.
Well, that's the old bit from Flight of the Conchords, which again was now 15, 20 years ago. But the bit at that point was that like, oh, we just got VHS.
what a topical reference about topical references.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's upside down, and then the toilets flush backwards.
Well, before we talk all about that nonsense and do hotliney stuff, is there anything happened in the news that's not political?
Denzel Washington is in Black Panther 3.
Okay.
Both confirming Black Panther 3
Okay.
and Denzel Washington in it.
So who is he playing? Who's he
They
going to play?
haven't said. So what he said was during a Gladiator 2 press thing that Ryan Coogler's writing him a part in the movie, which confirms Coogler's back and confirms the movie because nothing has been announced.
Right.
I assume he's either a different Black Panther, like a ancestral.
Well, I was going to ask if it's a prequel.
I would love that.
The only thing I can think of, I don't remember the character's name, but isn't there a story about the first Black Panther that they've written about?
And they do that fairly often. Jason Aaron's run of Avengers is strongly about that Panther.
Yeah, I forget his name, but maybe that's who it is.
I could see that.
But then
especially
he
with all
would-
his Gladiator wardrobe.
Although he wouldn't be old. Because right now Denzel is old.
Unless it was the story about the second one, and he was still the patriarch of.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he'd be the Robin passing the torch.
Sure.
Or he could be what's the character's name? Achebe, the big smile ventriloquist villain. He's got like a maniacalness to him that I could see.
I'm struggling to think of who you're talking about.
I'll show you a picture because he gives Denzel energy to me.
And he's a villain?
He's a villain.
Marvel villain?
Yeah, I could see
he's
villain.
a ventriloquist?
But that's not his main thing. But that's the image I have in my head. Actually, no, that is the
Imagine
main thing.
being a ventriloquist and it not being your main thing. Oh, okay.
You've seen him.
Yeah.
But like
he's
ventriloquist,
literally a priest. He's wearing a priest collar.
But the puppet is like a part of the whole.
Right. Okay.
I could see him doing that.
I could see that.
That's a vibe.
I don't know. I'm not. Listen, again, you were just talking all about positivity. I'm immediately going to crap on it.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was one of the maybe few, I don't remember, who like really was very wildly let down by Black Panther 2. Like none of what I think I was supposed to feel in it, I felt in it. I remember when it came out, we talked all about it, where I was just like, man, all I saw was ultimately a pretty boring and generic action movie whose emotional beats were solely dependent on the real world story and not the story that they were telling.
Yeah.
And I remember being disappointed to the point where I was like, yeah, I don't think we're going to get another one of those. I think we're going to be done with that world. Not that we won't see her as Panther
in other
crap in the MCU, but
so we're getting a third. Ryan Coogler's back. Denzel is doing it because Ryan Coogler asked. It's not a Marvel thing. It's a Coogler thing. So I imagine that's a one-off.
Right.
Because I can't imagine Denzel's like 10 movies.
Yeah, I'm gonna sign a contract for a decade.
Let me just lock this in.
Are they even doing that anymore? You think Marvel's banking like that anymore?
I don't think they can guarantee it in the same way.
I mean,
I don't think they can map stuff out in the same way.
But they're not losing money.
No, certainly not. But I don't know if their name is worth somewhat. Like I think Mahershala is such a cautionary tale. He was announced 5 years ago and has not filmed a frame.
Yeah,
like that's crazy.
Yeah, but I guess what I'm asking more so is like, are they signing the 10-year contracts like they were?
I think they might, but they might not be as beholden to them because
or
they
it's
realize
only for like certain people.
Because it's crazy the difference between now and 5 years ago.
Do we have any idea?
Marvel in 2019 versus Marvel in 2024 is a different thing.
Do we have any idea where Sam Jackson is in his contract?
87 films locked of 100. Like it's crazy how much that man has done. Like
he has a 100-picture deal.
Yeah, he just like
he's the first man in
100
Hollywood history.
I think he literally has 200 plus IMDb credits.
Sure, I just meant for one.
No, just Marvel. He might have 100 of them in Marvel because he's done so many.
There aren't 100.
He's the
Marvel
only.
things
No,
yet.
not yet.
We're getting like it's got to be like 50 or something.
If you count, just MCU. If you count the shows, it's past 50. If you look at just Marvel productions, not shows, we're at 72 from Howard the Duck to now.
What do you? Oh, I see what you're saying. Like I'm things saying, that are based on Marvel. Yeah.
Like Marvel comics made into movies.
I'm talking about
72.
Yeah.
MCU, it was 23 on the road to Endgame. So 24 was Endgame, and that was at least 15 movies ago. Like, and then if you add the shows, I mean, I'm rounding. That's why I'm
it's probably 15 movies and shows ago, not 15 movies ago. We haven't had 15 individual movies since Endgame.
It's been 5 years since Endgame.
Maybe, but it was pandemic too. They didn't, there's a big gap.
Black Widow came out then.
Yeah, but that was pushed after 2 years, wasn't it?
That's true. No, but there was a year where everything came out on streaming.
Yeah,
because Black Widow didn't get a theatrical release; went to streaming because it was the pandemic. I saw it in theaters.
No, it didn't. Yeah, I saw it in theaters too.
Black Widow.
Yeah,
Black Widow didn't even get theatrical. Scarlett Johansson sued and literally got like a producer credit on movies because she never got a theatrical cut of the movie because they didn't have one.
Wait, why do I remember seeing that in the movie theater?
Did you go to the fan premiere thing?
I was like, that was the best theater experience I had.
I was like, I don't think that. Yeah, because you watched it at home. Because you don't like the theater experience.
I mean, maybe. Wait, I'm gonna look at my letterboxd.
I'm 95%, 98% sure that didn't get a theatrical. I even have like backing knowledge.
I do recall. I thought it was both. I thought they released it on Disney Plus at the exact same time releasing it in theaters, and that's the problem. That wasn't allowed.
I don't think it got theatrical.
Black Widow. Let's see. I reviewed this film on what day? July 8th, 2021 theater. I saw it in a movie theater. I marked it. I would not mark a theater.
You would not
tag.
lie in your letterbox.
No. I saw that
maybe
shit
it was
in the theater.
day and date. Let me see. People love when there's silence and I'm typing on a podcast.
This makes great audio.
It's the good stuff.
Read that.
And was released in the United States and July 9th, simultaneously in theaters through Disney Plus.
Boom! I got something right, and Coy was wrong.
I was completely incorrect.
Well, it looks like I stumped the MCU chump.
There it is. That'll be the game next time. But my point being, I think it's probably 50 plus with shows, probably approaching 50 with movies. I think you're right.
And
which is crazy.
And at least 20 of those have featured
Samuel L. Jackson.
I wonder, that's actually good. He has to have the most MCU credits, right?
He must.
I can't, or Stanley. Outside of Stanley, which we're not going to count.
Yeah, but I think as far as individual, and I'd say it passed Hugh Jackman a few ago, because he had been the most played.
Right. But
then, I mean, he got another one. He's going to be in Secret Wars and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm also talking MCU. I'm also talking
like
the birth of the shared universe.
Since 2008.
Yeah. Which people are like, oh, it's all shared universe now. Get the fuck out of here, nerds. Get out of here, nerds.
Ease up.
That shit doesn't exist in my world.
I'll probably start counting that at Secret Wars when inevitably everything's in it. You know what I mean? Like retroactively, I will probably be that monster.
All right.
But because I haven't rewatched a lot of the classics, and I think it'd be fun leading up to Secret Wars. I'm trying to get Anya to do it with me to watch all of them from Howard the Duck on in chronological order.
Why?
Because I haven't done it.
Why?
Because I haven't seen Endgame in like 4 years, and like I haven't seen Iron Man in like 5.
Yeah, but you're still not gonna see it in another 5 if you're starting at Howard the Duck.
That's the fun though. Like who knows what's gonna count? I think it'd be really cool because
what would that list even look like?
Everything, because she hasn't seen most of them.
Well, I mean, it's Howard's
first,
and then are you gonna do Corman's Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
That one you have to find a rip of.
Yeah, I've got to go to a con and get it like
Listen,
on a DVD.
I know I talk about this all the time, but I have to bring it up every time it comes up because it's worth bringing up. The best part of Robin Corman's Fantastic Four is when one of the villains, I don't remember, I think it's just like a grunt of somebody or Doom, I don't know, is like chasing after Ben Grimm's blind wife.
Yes.
And they cut to her POV shot. And that is...
I've never seen Corman's.
That is peak cinema.
That's amazing.
When it's like, oh, look at what she sees, being afraid, but it's like you're cutting to the POV shot of a blind woman.
Wow.
And you're trying to make it seem like she's screaming because she sees. It's very strange. Very strange decision.
I've never seen it, so that's a great example.
It's tough to get through.
Yeah.
You're gonna do the same thing with the rubber-eared
Captain America with the ears. Yep. We got to do it.
And then it goes like all the way to Blade.
Yeah.
Unless
there's a huge,
because you're not doing TV shows.
No, and like the Man Thing and stuff, I wouldn't do.
Yeah, so you're going right to
right to Blade sooner after,
Blade.
And then it's Spider-Man and X-Men, X-Men first, then Spider-Man, and like it's a good time. And then Fox and Sony have their battle.
You'll have a few. I think there's going to be some pleasant surprises in there. Like I'm a defender of Jane Punisher.
Yeah, huge.
I loved that movie when it came out.
I thought League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Remember that whole conversation about like shock over quality?
But that's not Marvel though.
No, I'm just saying like I think there'll be stuff in that era that feels novel now, like League did.
A couple years ago, if you remember, I watched all the Fantastic Four,
which I haven't in years.
And it's like the first ones, like they're all bad, but like there's some stuff in both of the first two that are good-ish.
I think it's been 20 years since I've seen those.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that, what a journey.
Yeah, don't make her do that.
I got to test her.
You're not married yet.
Oh no, that's going to make sure that I picked the right one.
She could fucking hit the eject button.
It's the equivalent of like me being in my deathbed and her taking care of me, is watching all 72. It's me pre-testing the waters.
It's not that different from me doing all the Bonds, but I've been working on that for
long time.
2 years now.
I've got 3 years till Secret Wars. It's ambitious.
Oh boy.
So we should talk about things we're thankful for.
Well, let's talk about being thankful for the hotline. What do you say?
Well, I'm gonna do that first.
Yeah,
All right.
That's literally what I said the format of the show would be before we aired.
I got distracted.
I said the last hotline call will blend perfectly into a conversation.
You did say that. You know what, you guys? This is why he's the cast and Koi cast. He puts it all together. Let's check out these hotline calls.
Also, the writer and story by
producer credit fully goes to. We're going to check the hotline.
Tell the people.
818
yeah, thank you.
794-0722.
He was able to write something on his own.
I handled it. I improv that line. Luckily, it's the right number.
Let's both take a dramatic sip of coffee at the same time. Okay,
here we go. Ready?
Okay, what was the number again?
818-794-0722.
What else can they do?
They can also send an email to contact@koicast.com, and you can send a voice memo that way. It's probably easier than an email because we can't hear your voice. We like your voice, whoever you are.
But we would read emails.
We would.
And we occasionally have.
We have. If you're, voiceophobic or like have a speech thing, or like maybe you've got a voice box because you smoked in the 60s. Who knows? And
there are some people who don't, who are like, oh, I don't like my voice.
Voiceophobic. I don't know if there's a term for that.
I don't know if I should out them, but I feel like he's brought up on the show before. But friend of the podcast, Robin West Parker. Oh my God, I have to tell you a story.
Great voice, Robin West Parker.
I have to tell you a story. Okay, there is a story that I am hoping all the listeners will enjoy, and that in real time when Robin listens to this, will expand a very stupid joke I played on him.
Oh.
And that's coming up later.
All right. Okay. Oh, speaking of OGs of the show.
We're so good at this.
Douglas McKinney, Darth Vadad himself.
Yeah?
He taught me a thing about Saga. Did you know you can read Saga directly on Kindle?
Like, what do you mean directly on Kindle?
Like Saga is available like right through the Amazon app. Like Kindle has Saga issues. I didn't know that.
Like just free as part of Amazon, whatever?
Yeah. Taught me that. I didn't know that because I always read everything, through the publisher.
Yeah, no. Well, there you go. No excuse to not be reading Saga.
Read Saga.
Okay, now for real this time.
We should probably,
we're going to do a
818-794-0722.
Speaking of Darth Vadad.
Oh, is he a here?
Is he a here?
Is he a here? Have we
First off,
him?
as an Italian American, that's racist.
You
are not allowed to do that.
On the other side of that generational line, or that what is the Irish Italian line, do you think? What would they call that?
The Irish Italian line?
Yeah, where there's like the border between our cultures, where there's a strong line in the sand, like Bloods and Crips. Like there's got to be like a, I don't know, like a.
Yeah, it's Irish Catholic versus Italian Catholic.
It's like
that's
the
line.
whiskey marinara line.
It's whether or not you are guilty or your mom's guilty you. That's the difference.
I like that. That's fair. All right.
Anyways, let's listen to Darth Vadad.
Hello again, Jake and Coy. This is Doug from Pittsburgh, or Darth Vadad on Discord. Lately, I've been reading issues of the Legion of Superheroes from the 1980s on the DC app, and last week I got to the 1989 volume that rebooted their continuity. As a result of the crisis, they wiped Superboy and Supergirl out of their backstory, replacing them with Daxamites Mon-El, aka Lar Gand or Valor, and Laurel Gand. It was a confusing change until I read up on the history of it. Can you think of any Marvel or DC stories that resulted from continuity changes that you particularly liked or disliked? Thanks.
Darth Vadad.
Great question, because comics are confusing.
And so is what he's referring to, because there's so many crises in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Is it Crisis on Infinite Earths? Is that what he's referring to?
That's the big one, and I'm pretty sure that's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
So because of that, of a cross-platform event or whatever, across a title event, they reset continuity
100%, and they changed whatever. They kind of pick and chose which they wanted to keep.
Without like just starting comics over,
right?
Like it, obviously now they're doing what Marvel did with the Ultimate,
the Absolute line, which is amazing,
right? But this isn't that.
This is not that. This is still main continuity. So this is like the DC All-In line, which is another thing that DC is doing right now. They've got all new creative teams on their books,
right? And
it's same continuity, but it's jumping on points. Sure. But it didn't change continuity. Right. It's just a jumping on point. Where it's Crisis is a weird like unplug and plug it back in,
right?
So which is kind of like Ultimatum, I guess Marvel did that.
Okay, yeah.
Ish. I would say my favorite is Red Hood. Is Jason Todd, who was killed. And in a continuity I've heard that I'm not sure if it's still canon, the moment where Crisis changed things awoke in him, and he was able to crawl out of his grave because of the effects of Crisis changing the way the Earth was spinning or something absurd.
So that was a good one.
That was a good one.
Was there a bad one like he asked, or something that was like jarring? I just don't I don't read enough of the big two consistently
to know the difference, to really, or win the shift.
What happens for me is because I very much like look for a story. If someone's like, oh, you've got to read this arc of something,
Right.
then I'll grab those books. And every now and then I like to go to the beginning and start from something, but I'm not reading anything that's been going on for 20 years.
So you don't have decades of
right.
lore.
Yeah, I don't have any of that stuff built upon. And so like when I do read like a thing, I might find something that's confusing to me.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether or not it has anything to do with continuity changes. It's just like, oh, I didn't know that was what was happening.
Right.
Or I don't have the context for this thing they're referencing, which is my favorite thing is when like, I think DC and Marvel both do this where it'll be like an asterisk next to something somebody says, and it says like, read this book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, thank you very much.
It's very helpful.
Very helpful.
And
there was a
especially
lot
if
of
you
that
have, like-
in Captain Marvel, if I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, if I remember correctly. It was
Well, because there's so much lore in
Right.
cosmic stuff that isn't mainstream
Sure,
continuity.
yeah.
I love, especially if you're using the apps where it's like, Comixology doesn't exist anymore. But like DC Universe Infinite, for example, sometimes they have like lists underneath,
Right.
and you can kind of click through, and then you can get all of the lore
That's
at once. That's my favorite one is the Red Hood. I'm trying to think of another one.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of any like continuity things that weren't just like stuff that was changed. We talk about bone claws all the time on this show.
Yeah.
But like little things like that where it's just like, it's not necessarily continuity, it's like stuff that's been retconned.
Yeah.
Or characters that have been changed. And sometimes that might throw you. But then there's like, you told me that thing months ago that I never knew. It was one of those things where it's like you think back to your childhood and you assume it has always been. And that was that Magneto's
Isn't
helmet.
that crazy? That blew my mind.
Yeah, Magneto's helmet.
It's the movie device.
It protects him from being mind controlled. I never, like, to me, that was just part of Magneto.
Yeah.
And apparently it wasn't.
Just the year 2000, which is so late in the game.
I was 18 at that point.
Yeah. And also like 40 years of X-Men.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's like a Mandela Effect comic edition.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It's so insane.
Yeah, that's strange.
The Maker is back in comics from the
Okay.
Ultimate Universe, and he's like a big bad overseeing stuff in both continuities, like the Ultimate stuff and mainstream. That's kind of one of
Right.
those where he's like existing between
Yeah.
canons.
Yeah, I don't know. I think generally speaking though, I am more of a fan of the restart than the retool.
It's just
Like,
tricky with numbering
Yeah.
because I like big
But
numbers.
just
I
give
like
it a different fucking.
I like Amazing Spider-Man, 800.
He
'Cause
loves a big number.
I like big numbers. No, but like when I'm collecting, I want
the
to see.
second Italian stereotype.
That's true.
that
I
you've
did.
just done.
I even did the hands.
2 strikes.
That's it.
I
One
saw
more.
it come up. One
more. And
One
Grandma.
more. I'm hitting you with a fucking pizza.
Grandma Bacon comes in here and backhands.
Okay, so, all right. First off, I need to specify: bacon is not is not an Italian. Okay, anything. Although the reality is that woman was really Italian.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't know those people. Okay,
You're Italian on
But
both sides, so I assume.
That's fair. No,
by-
no. I'm Italian only on the father's side.
I thought you were like 7/8 Italian. I thought you were like wicked
No,
Italian.
I'm German on the other side.
But like holy?
Yeah, like my family is from not even German. When you do all the DNA stuff, it comes up as Germanic, but
Sure.
it's actually we're from Luxembourg. We're Luxembourgian.
As you do.
Or as I like to say,
I thought you were way more than
Luxembourgie.
half Italian.
I am genetically. It's like the way that works.
It doesn't split.
Yeah. You're not 50-50.
Okay, so
But
that's
yeah,
why.
No, I am.
You're
I'm
more Italian, but not by
and
the
on my
tree.
father's side, it's very much like Sicily here, Sicily. Like it's like 2 towns. That's
Right,
it, yeah.
right.
But I digress.
Frank Grillo genes.
Speaking of Frank Grillo, I think we should move on.
Okay, fair enough. Frank, this is in honor of you somehow.
I couldn't find it. It was there somewhere. I didn't know where it was.
I love Frank Grillo. Let's move on.
Hi, Coy. My name is Scott, and I'm from Canada. I've been a fan of yours since, like, the movie fights days. Love you. You're like a hero. But I have only just found out you have a podcast because my friend is wearing your shirt. And I'm just a bit disappointed because I feel I should have heard about this podcast. You need to do a better job at advertising your podcast because I didn't know it existed, and it would be something that I'm going to love. So just please do better. Bye. I got your back, Jake.
Scott.
Oh my God, I love that call. That is such a good call.
Scott.
Scott from Canada is simultaneously, I love that is the clarity of voice. I was like, what a clear phone call. And then so polite because Canadian. And then all of a sudden it was like, you've messed up. I'm a fan for a decade. And yet, what is this? And what's funny is I did a live stream today on my YouTube and I plugged Koicast 6 different times. And it's like my brain remembers it in spurts, so then I overwhelm people with knowledge, and then there's a gap.
Great. So the only advertising you do is annoying advertising, which ensures nobody who hears about it will ever listen to it because you're annoying them.
They're like, this is too much.
Great. This is what I'm putting up with Scott.
I'm an unskippable YouTube ad. That's my problem. I'm either a lot or it's like, oh, wait, I don't know anything about this.
Can I tell you? You being an unskippable YouTube ad as just an identity
That's who I am as a person.
Is fucking fantastic. That might be the single greatest description of Koijandro I've ever heard. An unskippable YouTube ad.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's so cruel. And I don't mean it to sound mean, but it's really accurate.
I'm an exclamation point as a person, but in 2024, that reads like an unskippable YouTube ad.
No, you are, or it's not that you're unskippable, but like the wait's just a little bit too long.
It's fair.
That countdown, instead of being like 15, it's like 25.
Yeah,
and you're like,
oh, I could have handled
only a 30-second ad.
I get it. And here we are.
Scott, we're very happy to have you.
Welcome,
Please
Scott.
Stick around. Please
tell your friends.
Consider becoming a patron if you haven't already, to check out the patron-only pod.
Which is hundreds of episodes that you wouldn't have known about yet.
4 years we've been doing the program.
4 years.
And so thank your friend.
Wearing my shirt in public, spreading the word that I'm not.
And you know what else you could do, Scott, is on Koi's social media.
Yep.
Just write, he does a podcast too, everyone.
And I'll reshare it, and that'll be a great ad.
No, he won't reshare it.
I will.
He'll like it.
I'll keep an eye. No, I sometimes reshare. You know what I think I'm going to do? I don't want to be on Twitter anymore because it's hell. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of my Twitter, and then I'm going to keep one tweet, like a pager, and it's going to just be where to find me elsewhere, and Koicast be on there.
Great.
And I'll share like links on Twitter.
Great.
But I don't want to use it anymore. So that'll get people to notice. 32,000 people will suddenly surge this podcast.
Scott, we look forward to hearing more from you. Also, I'm curious, let us know, are you listening to back episodes?
And which shirt is he wearing?
Which shirt was your friend wearing? Also, I'm curious if you're listening to back episodes.
If you go back to 2020, it'd be so funny.
Because I'm also just curious to what you even know about the show.
Yeah. What's your first impression from someone that knew me and not the show? Please call back 818-792-0722. Those questions are rattling around my noggin.
Thank you, Scott.
Appreciate you, Scott.
Take another hotline call.
Joy, Jake. It's Trav from Florida. It has been a long time, my dudes. If you had to plan a diet around one particular superhero, not Batman, too easy, but like Spider-Man. He's broke most of the time, and he's Spider-Man, and he's in New York. What's the diet you think you could give him so he still stays in relative shape and being on a low budget? I am genuinely wondering how this works out. Same thing for anyone else if you want to do it. But yeah, that's a weird random question based on my dietary situation. Bye!
Travis from Florida. The problem is that he went with, for an example, the easiest
the
thing.
Thinnest man.
But it's also like, yeah, it's just a college kid.
And metabolism. He's young.
Ramen and cheap pizza.
And he swings. That's so exerting. Swinging through the air at the greatest of ease is very calorically dense.
Yeah.
Because you're using your entire body, you're flexing your core,
Sure.
you're swinging with your arms, you're also pulling at all times, and your legs are getting to work out every time you like momentum or land and run. It's a lot of cardio.
But what can he afford to get all of
ramen.
that protein? Yeah, I'm saying he's just
street hot dogs.
He lives off of ramen and then like street food that people give him because he's Spider-Man.
Thank churros. Thanks. Like he's got those.
Thank churros. Thanks. What the fuck just happened?
Guys, I'm having a stroke. I'm so tired. Thank churros.
Thank churros.
I also said it with such conviction like it was an expression.
Wait, that's a t-shirt. Thank churros. Thanks.
And it's Spider-Man holding his thank churros. Thanks.
Thank churros. Churros, thanks. Thank churros! Exclamation point. Churros, thanks. That's that's how it breaks down.
Also, I'm an unskippable YouTube ad. It's right there. There's got to be a logo right there that I could be a shirt of.
Okay, but other.
I love that Travis is asking like for dietary goals, but uses Spider-Man. That's so funny and specific.
What other? So like, what other heroes? I think. Do you want to know? Like, think about Cap. Okay. Think about how much food is different
Oh, the processedness.
from when he came out.
Nothing tastes good.
But you know what? No, that's not true because he was frozen at like an awful time in America.
Oh, that's true. The food then was bad. So okay, so it's equal. It's bad in a different way, but would taste better.
But
because we season differently, we have more options. But
also
the preservatives.
He's going to see a microwave and be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that should have been a moment.
Someone's going to, that's the thing is the shittiest food
would be resplendent.
He's going to be like, "This is amazing."
What technology? Like ramen would be exemplary.
You put it in that magic box and it made me a meatloaf.
And it's done. I think the diet would depend on the tolerance to salt and stuff for Cap. Like how much things would, like food would.
And sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar's the big one.
He may die.
Right.
Like he gets diabetes without the super soldier serum for sure.
Right.
But if you're asking for you, I'd say, well, he said he's got dietary goals.
Did he? I didn't hear that.
Oh, at the end, that was the button at the end. I think the best way to eat low cost, high value is when I'm trying to lose weight, which I currently am, try to focus on the protein, not the rest. Like for me, my brain, it's easy to look at one number, not all the numbers. So as long as the protein is like a high number compared to the calories, I'll eat it. So whatever is cheap and has high protein, because your body gets satiated by protein, you get full. And that's also going to cause muscle growth. And fun fact, the more muscle you have, the more your body needs calories. So every time you go to the gym to build muscle versus do cardio, it's actually longer sustaining caloric deficit, because say you gain 2 pounds of muscle, that takes more calories to fuel your body than losing 2 pounds of fat would. So it's actually better to build muscle than it is to do cardio in the long term. So high protein and then worry about the rest.
That wasn't really a fun fact. It was just a fact.
There
was literally nothing fun about that.
Churros!
Nowhere in the middle there did you make a silly voice. did you do something?
Hot dogs and ramen.
Okay.
Cyclops would use his optic blasts, which are not heated, but he would use them to spin things in the microwave. Like those things. That's what I'm picturing. Like the microwave gets stuck, he pushes it. Because it could go through the lens.
Okay.
Because the thing isn't, so you could push. That's what I'm picturing.
I'm not seeing whatever
People
it is you're trying
think
to see.
Cyclops is heat vision. It's not. It's optic blast. It's pressure.
That's Superman.
So I love the idea that he's pushing with his glasses.
Okay. I respect that. I used to have material back when I was a stand-up about how Superman was inherently had to be a dick. That like out of everybody in the Justice League, he's just too good at everything.
Yeah.
To not be kind of a pretentious asshole. And in the bit, the fictional version of Superman would like be at a diner and like imagine waiting on Superman, like being the waitress who comes over and Superman's, excuse me, my soup was cold. Like, don't worry, I took care of it because of the heat vision. But I just want to let you know. By the way, was this the diner that I saved from the asteroid last week? Oh, it was? Okay. Next time, maybe the soup should just be a little bit hot next time I order it. And I can't not think of that
every time.
Anytime somebody brings up heat vision, I think
frost his glasses,
heating up soup with the breath. Yeah.
It'd be so great. You could like chill every like iced coffee a little more.
I like that you went to coffee and not like not like a cold beverage.
When I'm tired. You know what? This is what happens.
Who else? What superhero? Let's transfer it to this. What do you think has the weirdest? I mean, obviously, it's a plot point in lots of Flash stuff,
right?
But like, that's not weird as much as it's just a lot
and a necessity.
Who do you think has like the weirdest diet? Because it's got to be somebody who's an alien.
Wolverine.
No, you think that's weird?
I think he'd have a really weird diet because of like his travels and his age. He would probably have developed a taste for certain types of foods in the 1800s.
He's probably he's probably a food douchebag. Really.
Yeah.
He's probably like,
Yeah. I'm not even joking. I think Wolverine probably is one of the weirdest diets.
But that's not weird. He's like a Venice hipster.
Yeah. Which is weird.
All right. Maybe I don't think so.
I think he drinks crap beer, but likes nice food.
Right. Beer is the one thing.
Beer is the thing. He's like, whatever.
He's like, I like what's a Miller Lite? Is that like the go-to? Is that the go-to? Oh no, Natty Light.
Natty Light.
That's
the nice college go-to.
Beer?
Yeah. And what's funny is like, cause he could smoke whatever cigars he wanted, and usually that would negate taste buds, but he could heal them back. So he probably has an incredibly refined palate.
Right. But what I was getting at though is it's got like an alien who comes like
Martian Manhunter.
Yeah. These people, what do they eat? What are they eating? We nehave see them just like snacking on a fucking.
Kara L would be a weird diet because she was a teenager. She had all Kryptonian and now she lives on Earth. Whereas Clark would have been raised in our food. Kara wouldn't have.
That's a good point. And also, not just that, but would have been eating like a teenager.
Right.
Yeah. Because like teenagers don't eat great.
No.
And you figure what's
and then that transferring to here
comes to here. And then learns about a gordita.
Right, what is that?
And
then
it's
years
just-
on an asteroid.
Right.
What'd she eat there?
Yeah, I don't know. This is an interesting question. I never thought about what alien. Also, does venom affect how Eddie Brock experiences flavors?
Because he had brains and chicken and stuff, and loves chocolate because it's a certain chemical in the brain.
It does eat people,
Yeah,
and we never talk. It never specifies whether or not
he
Eddie
likes brains,
feels that, or Eddie's like, "Ew, it's so gross."
or is he satiated?
Yeah, or if it's like,
I think he talks
he
about
developed-
like,
has he
feeling
de-
gross, but it'd be
has he developed a taste?
there's
for
a
it
comic
himself?
called Venom the Hunger where he gets a taste for brains. Eddie, like it's called The Hunger, and he realizes what he's craving is
Listen,
brains.
some characters I've just gotten a little out of hand. Okay.
I like that you're like, this has never happened. Like, no, it was weird. It did happen. It was the 90s.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
that's-
Venom the Hunger is a crazy run where Venom's got Eddie Brock has this craving without the symbiote. He's like, what is this? Like, I can't get satiated. Then you realize what he wants is
He needs
brains.
human brains.
Yeah.
How does he get through that?
He realizes after murdering someone he's addicted to the symbiote, and then they just accept that they're symbiotic together. And he lets
So the resolution is
he lets
well,
Venom eat brains.
yeah.
Oh,
The-
90s.
and the final page, they both just shrug and
I
go.
think he kills a homeless person at the end. It's real dark.
Alrighty.
Comics, guys, don't eat people.
Who is that written by? Is that Bendis?
I think I was actually pre-Bendis. I want to say this was like 94, 96. But yeah, crazy times.
So we probably have like
Severely
McFarlane to
aged.
blame.
Yeah, probably. Or like
Silvestri.
someone inspired by
Yeah.
those guys. Extreme.
Let's see what else we got on the hotline.
Hey Coy, hey Jake, this is Gilbert up in the Bay Area, and I had a question for you about Comfort Media. It's been a stressful few weeks, so I was just wondering what kinds of books, comics, albums, movies, TV you guys watch or experience to kind of decompress and, just lower your blood pressure a little bit. I know you, Jake, you've been talking about TV shows that you watch, during stressful times. But I was just wondering if you have any other things that you like to experience. Like I like reading classic comics. I like X-Men comics, Superman comics, Spider-Man comics, stuff like that. But I just wonder what you guys like. And as an aside, hey Coy, a couple of years ago, I gave you some books at Fan Expo, and I was just reminding you because I asked Jake if he ever got a chance to look at them, and he said he had never heard about it. And I just want to make sure that you read it so he can read it because I think you both would like them, or I thought you both would like them. Other than that, you guys have a good week. Bye.
Gilbert, short. Before we talk about the first part of your question, comfort watches. This is like the third time you brought up these comics. We talked about this on the air.
We did. They were given.
We realized it.
Yes.
After the fact, because when you wrote me a message saying like, "Hey, did you ever get this comic?" It was just so long ago.
It was it was before the move.
Right.
And it was literally
yeah. And we talked about it on air.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. They were given. And I liked it was a Winchester house that I really liked most of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember this. I just wanted to make sure because I'm a man who pays forward his gifts. I didn't keep them.
Comfort watches.
Yeah, I'm bad at this. I don't rewatch
kind
stuff.
of bad. So I do, but it's never because like
not as a coping
Yeah,
mechanism.
it's usually just like, oh, I watch this and then I'm comforted.
I think you watch TV shows with comfort in mind because when you're
Probably.
stressed, you bring it up.
Well,
Like
do you
when
wanna-
you are moving, you very much focus both moving out and in.
Well, that is less of a comfort and more of a convenience watch that becomes a comfort watch. Because what we do is when we have things to do, we put on stuff that is low pressure.
Right.
Because we're not going to put on like a dense hour drama that we haven't seen that we want to watch every minute of.
Yeah.
We put on Friends, The Office. We're doing it right now. We started rewatching Schitt's Creek.
Nice.
Because we've been doing so much work around the apartment and like building furniture and painting and doing all this stuff that it's like, oh, we'll throw on Schitt's Creek while we do that.
See, my
because you don't
fiance's
have to
great at this.
sit and watch it.
Not only did my fiance made me realize I only watch stuff with intent, I don't have repeat things. I've never rewatched. I rewatched Friends with my mom right before I moved,
Right.
but that would have
You've
been.
rewatched a few things on this program.
Yeah, but that's for work.
Community. No,
I'd
not
only seen Community
entirely.
once.
No, you didn't. You just do a rewatch.
That was the first time I'd seen it.
Oh,
I'd never
I've
seen.
sworn
Community.
there was a couple things that we've done on the POP that you've been like, oh yeah, I rewatched this.
I rewatched
because-
The Crow every year.
I don't know the TV show
Oh, okay.
specifically. I could swear that there was a TV show that you were like, oh, I rewatched this season or this show.
But
because
I'm really bad at it because I know that like a lot of people find comfort and stuff. But since I do it for work, I feel like I'm wasting time if I watch something I've already seen because I can't commodify it.
I have the same problem, not because of the last part, but whenever it comes to like a movie.
Yeah, because I have so many to watch.
Yeah, sometimes Alexandra is just like, oh, like let's watch this thing. And I'm like, well, I'd rather just see something new that I will be inspired by. And what happens is if we're going to watch an old movie, it almost exclusively needs to be a movie that I know I really, really love.
Right.
Because I'm seeking some inspiration.
A certain dopamine or endorphin.
Yeah, exactly.
It has to be like a 4 or up if it's a rewatch. And that's hard to like hone in on. Comedy sometimes, like I'll rewatch like an In Bruges or a Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yeah, hilarious. This fucking guy.
It's my favorite comedies. Those two,
Bruges,
right there.
In
Banshees of
Bruges
Inisherin I
and Kiss.
rewatched a number of times.
Oh my God, this guy's got problems. By the way, did you see, sidebar, there's like the Hollywood Reporter roundtables they do?
Love them.
There was one that apparently came out like 2 years ago or a year ago, and I never saw it, and a clip popped up on my feed, and I immediately was like, well, now I have to look up the whole video. And I feel bad because like the one person of color, I don't know who they are. And I feel bad, but it's just because they're a young person. It's their first big thing. They come from Broadway and they're in a movie that I didn't see. Right. So with the exception of that person who I feel bad, I'm so sorry. I don't remember the name of that person. It's Ki Huai from, right? Ki Huai Kwan, is that his name?
Ki Kwan.
Okay, there we go. Him, Adam Sandler, Butler from Elvis.
Colin Farrell.
For
Banshees.
And one other person, and Brendan Fraser. And it is such an amazing watch and such a fun watch, especially because Colin Farrell is such
he's so charming.
But he's also such a like, yeah, we're all in this together. Like that's his whole vibe. Yeah. And he doesn't mind. He's got great stories. He's a great sharer. He's probably great in group therapy. Meanwhile, Adam Sandler, who I love, is so bad at talking about himself. And he's really charming in it, but he's just so like when they're like, oh, I want to talk about the transition to like doing drama. He's like, yeah, we all do different stuff. Like he's like, it's like he can't take the compliment of being like, oh, like, you know, Paul Thomas Anderson for Punch Drunk Love, like saw something in you and wrote that for you. And he's like, yeah, he wrote that for me and it was good.
And then pivots.
We got to do it. Yeah. And it's just like, but anyways, I digress.
I don't know that guy either, but to be fair, I looked it up. I just
felt
saw
terrible
his face and I didn't track it.
Fucking only person of color.
But he's a Broadway guy.
But yeah. And I didn't see the movie that he was like nominated for or something.
So to not make you as much of a monster, I didn't track it.
Great. We're both monsters.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyways, I think that like, stuff I've talked about on the show, like I definitely feel like if I am like really seeking a comfort thing, even though I don't think it's I don't have the wherewithal in the moment to be thinking I need to watch something comforting.
Yes, agreed.
It's not that. It's more just that like
your subconscious will put on something.
In times where I am feeling stressed, my subconscious goes to and that's where I watch like a lot of British panel comics. That's where I'll rewatch fucking old Taskmaster series because they're also like the original 5 are only like 6 episodes. And so it's like for 2 hours you can just watch something. And it's the funniest thing ever. You can watch, I would do that's where I would do something like sketch shows. Yeah, that's where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna rewatch Old State. I'm gonna rewatch Old Kids in the Hall.
I realized in this moment, I just yesterday started. Anya had never seen Harley Quinn, the show.
The animated?
And so we just started that. We're on episode 3, and that is so comforting. Oddly. It's only my second time watching
and I don't even like cartoons. I'm learning.
That is evolving. And now I am more particular because I tried to watch Arcane because everyone loved it and I couldn't get into it. But like, I think when I love a cartoon, I love it.
Right.
Like there's just less middle ground, I think is the difference.
Right.
Like I'm not going to be as patient.
I still think your reasoning for it is a stretch personally.
My reasoning for the difference between comics and cartoons, no one understands but me.
No.
But I'm okay with that. My brain's weird. But to answer your question, music is more of a comfort than movies and TV.
Yeah,
for me.
I think same.
Yeah. So if that helps, vinyl, you brought up albums. A lot of my music is aggressive, but there is a calmness in that aggression for me. Most of my music is really fast BPM. Most of my music is pretty intense.
The exact opposite.
Yeah, no, you're very mellow. Like you're
especially specifically for comfort.
Yeah, but like I find comfort in like when the angrier Tupac is, the more I'm comforted. Like I really find that.
When I'm feeling stressed, I just need someone to bark at me.
DMX actually pretty great comfort music. But I love Thug's Mansion, which is an acoustic Pac song. Yeah. I love My Block. Like there are vibey hip hop songs that help me. And like Flogging Molly is fast, but it's comforting.
Right. No, that's true because I think classic, what I consider classic hip hop, obviously from my era, but like for me, late 80s, 90s hip hop is comforting. Like to me, Tribe is more comforting than anything that I've heard in the last 15 years.
Even like early 2000s, because the nostalgia attached to it wasn't comforting then, but would be well, that'd be your 90s.
I don't have that. Yeah.
But like that era, like I can be comforted by like Young Buck and 50 Cent because it's like, it reminds me of simpler times. So I think my brain goes, simple.
Right. Yeah. I think my comforts are always exactly the same. It's always Buckley, Swell Season, Damian Rice, Pearl Jam. Like that's like the comforts. Yeah. And if I want a little bit more joy, then it's always Cake. Cake is my.
I love Cake. I don't mean the food. That's our middle. I think that's our Venn diagram. I fucking love Cake.
Yeah, like that is to me. Cake is the best road trip music. It's the best vibe music. It's the best because it's so joyous but simultaneously beautiful and also musically interesting.
Agreed.
There's a dearth of monotony to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's plenty of variety and plenty of different styles and genres.
Each album has a different sound, but the sound of Cake is
I think
consistent.
that's a comfort for
Harry
sure.
Styles is comfort for me. That's a newer thing the last 5 years. But yeah, music more comforting. And I love Harry Styles.
Styles. There's a lot of modern day pop music that I'm struggling with, and everybody's on board.
Dude, Carly Rae Jepsen, I fuck with heavy. That's not modern anymore.
No,
Carly Rae Jepsen is such a bop. She's like Madonna for me.
Oh my God, we just watched we're recording this on a Monday, the 18th, and this past weekend, Charlie XCX was on SNL, and she was one of the best hosts that I didn't know. Like, I don't know who this person is.
Yeah.
She was one of the best hosts that I didn't know that I've ever seen on the show. She is so funny and so good at sketch and just very in every moment. And her music was fucking atrocious because she was also the musical guest. Her music is and her performance was so bad, juxtaposed to how good her performance as a comedian was, that I started to wonder if the character that she plays as a pop star isn't a bit, because she does first off, like her whole vibe is like a white girl from the 90s who listens to hip hop. She does like Beastie Boys style shoulders and arms. And it's like constant hair flicks in a way that's like
performative.
But it's so excessive that it's funny. Do you get what I'm saying? It seems like a satire of pop stars,
like approaching like Malibu's Most Wanted.
I don't know what that is, but
Jamie Kennedy,
sort of, yeah, but a modern version of that.
Right.
Like, honestly, it's literally like if this was directed by Sacha Baron Cohen, I would be. And I couldn't believe it how bad the musical performances were.
But she was so good,
and she's
as a host.
so good. Huh. But in that moment, I was like, I just don't get new modern pop music. And Alexandra was like, me neither, because there's some stuff like is it Chapel Roan? Is that the name?
Yeah.
Is that the
I like her.
The pink something?
Yeah. Big
or am I confusing two people?
Chapel Roan looks like a doll. She's got very Victorian.
Is that the blonde or is it the one who dresses like drag?
Big orange hair. Yeah, she's dressed in drag. But she's
I think, speaking of which, I think she might have been like the previous SNL.
She has a song about West Hollywood. Like
that's what I'm talking about.
Chapel.
So like Alexandra is like, she really likes her, but like it's like very much like. I mean, I guess this is kind of classic pop music. It's like, this is the good song.
It is very much like that.
And it's like some other songs are not so good. And it's like,
I like her overall. Her and Doechii are my big discoveries of the year. I like Doechii a lot.
Who is that?
She's got like a Kendrick Lamar-esque flow. She's like a hardcore rapper, but like in a really, she's linguistically genius, but she's got a flow that's like if Missy Elliott and Busta Rhymes had a baby. She's got a crazy flow. And she's also a student of our era, so she'll like be doing a song and making modern references, then do like a hooah and like reference Busta. So I'm like,
that's fun.
It literally feels like when you're watching a movie where they like nod to your shit, but musically. So she's dope. So music, I think, answered the question.
Yeah, no, I think music and
puzzles and accounting. I really love doing math.
Puzzles and accounting.
Like when I'm really anxious, I like doing a puzzle while listening to a podcast. Right. And when when I need to calm down, I like doing my banking.
I think that's for me, that's video games, what you just described.
Yeah. Just this full separation.
I like the game and just like, because when I'm gaming, like it's really easy for me to turn off the stressful part of my brain.
Yeah.
And even if it's a game with tasks that I don't need to pay too much attention to, having that, it's like a fidget spinner.
Yeah.
What that allows me to do, that allows me to access the part of my thought that's beneficial, that is more productive. So I'm such a better writer
when you're not distracted
after like if I've been playing a game for 3 hours.
Yeah.
when I turn that game off, I can write for an hour without any of my ADD
Wow.
weird. Like there's something about the task that I'm doing at hand that allows me to just think clearer and not about.
I used to have that. I can't play when I play games
Love
now.
it.
I think I need to be doing something else. I haven't been able to sit and game in a while. I think the math thing is just because 1 + 1 is always 2.
Sure.
And everything else in my life is so variable. It's nice to be like, and I found the answer. Like there's a solution.
Speaking of gaming, by the way, is I started Miles.
Yeah.
On PS5, and because of how Christmassy it was, I was like, nah, gonna wait. Gonna
Nice.
give it a month.
Wait until after this week.
Gonna give it a month.
Yeah. I think after the week of Thanksgiving is Christmas season.
Right. That's fair. Yeah, that's
so you're
that's
around
where
the
it
corner.
starts.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Thanksgiving, like we set up top, like, is there a specific art? This past year has been stressful for me, not just in the way that's been stressful for everybody, but in some extra special ways. Everybody out there, listeners, everybody knows we all have our own shit going on. I thought it'd be interesting to kind of try to grasp what art this past year specifically we are most thankful for. There's definitely been some things that have like triggered new thoughts in myself. I think that movie, His Three Daughters, is probably at the top of my thankful list.
I love that.
Because I feel like that movie really like started making me think about things, not even like daddy issue shit, because that movie's a lot about daddy issues, but just about like family in general.
Yeah.
In both a positive and negative light.
Sure.
That's so far. I mean, I haven't checked, but like that's probably my best movie of the year for me. But yeah, is there any other art specifically this past year that you were like, God, I'm so thankful that I got to have this?
I mean, Dune really reawoken a love of sci-fi that I thought was lost to fandom. Comic book stuff is a little separate. They share a Venn diagram, but it's not entirely science fiction. I haven't loved Star Wars like I did when I was a kid in a long time. So I thought it was gone. And then like occasionally there'd be a pop like Blade Runner, but Blade Runner is like one thing.
Right.
And like I like Blade Runner 2049 exponentially more than Blade Runner 1. And that makes it a hard fandom because like I get why it's technically impressive, but I didn't connect to it. And then Dune came out and I was like, oh, this might be like Blade Runner where I get one. But then Dune 2 came out and I was like, oh, I fucking love good sci-fi. Like I saw Dune, which is 3 hours, 4 times in theaters. And I don't have time for that.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
You don't rewatch TV.
I don't rewatch TV because I don't have time. Like I spent 12 hours going like, Lisan al-Gaib. Like I fucking love Dune. So that was fulfilling in like a creative way where I'm like, oh, there's a genre that I thought wasn't for me that really is. When it's my type of thing in that genre.
Right.
And then Kneecap, I think I talked about a lot, but like Kneecap, I talked about Kneecap, I think. The reason I think that hit me so hard is I've always really struggled with being an American that used to love America loudly, and I don't feel like I have a cultural identity in California. I don't feel like I have a tribe out here in the same way that a lot of people do to survive. Like the way to love LA is to find your people in LA.
Sure.
And I think since all of the things that people do to bond, I do for money, it's hard to like sit and talk comics and movies socially because I'm like, I need to turn this into a video. And that sucks. But Kneecap is the stuff I love about music, the stuff I love about hip hop, the stuff I love about being an underdog, the stuff I love about culture, but in a really fun, insane biopic that somehow stars the people that it was made for. So it like reminded me that you can expect something and then be blown away. Like you can have high expectations, then be like, wait, they're playing themselves.
Right. It can be that things can still exceed your expectations.
Yeah. And it was high expectations. I love their music. And then it was like one of the best movies of the year, but like how are the rappers that have never acted keeping up with Michael Fassbender? The whole movie, I was like, how are these not acting? Chapel Roan. But like, if Chapel performed the best set you'd ever seen.
What I was gonna say was
sorry, not Chapel. Charlie. Imagine if Charlie did like the Pearl Jam performance at SNL.
I don't need to like literally. You're describing how I felt fucking however many years ago it was, 20 years ago with Once.
Yes,
where you're just like, there's no fucking way neither of these people have acted before.
That
like,
exact experience.
So they're so good, but they don't even know it.
Yeah.
And it's just like this inherent, it's the exact opposite of D. Antwoord. Who I love.
Yeah.
As
Chappie
musicians.
is the opposite of Kneecap and Once. I agree. So those two hit hard.
Yeah, that's fair. I think You know what else I think I'm super, super thankful for this year? Maybe more so than others. And I don't know. I think I've talked about it on the program before. I know I talked to you about it, I think like via text maybe, is at some point last year when we were in New York and things were going really bad for us, for whatever reason, I just decided to download NHL 24 for PlayStation.
You sent me photos of me.
Yeah. And I was like on the other side of the country, away from a lot of my friends here in LA, and kind of like feeling very separate and not kind of sure where we were, and like in this very hard family situation. And I just started making fictional hockey teams. And one of those teams I made was comprised of all of the people that I know, like all of my closest friends. And like when I tell you like 40 deep, like not just like, oh, I made me and 3 people.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the amount of people that I made that I know that like we have, and it's like we had a full-fledged hockey team with different lines, and you were on a line with Jake Brown and Tybee Diskin, and like, you know, like there's like people that we know, and it's just like there was something that was so silly about it that brought me so much joy, like, and so kind of childish, but also in a way it was like, it was very sweet that I felt like I got to play with all of my friends, and that they were represented daily, and not just the closest of friends. Because again, like there's people on there that's like, oh, this is like a buddy of mine that was in one of my movies that like I haven't seen him in 2 years,
right?
But I love him and I hope he's doing great and he's in my game, and that's like playing through multiple seasons. We were called the Portland Rain, and it was a dragon logo, not too dissimilar to Dragon Wagon Radio, but naturally, right? I moved us all to Portland because I thought it sounded nice. Portland Rain, and REIGN, by the way, like Rain of Fire,
right?
Our jerseys were all like brown and green and fiery with red, you know, like, and we won the cup like 5 times. Of
course, we're the best.
At one point, it got to the point where I was like, I've become too good at this game. I need to increase the difficulty, and then that was too hard. I was like, fuck it. I guess I'm just gonna be good.
I just want to be happy. I'm sorry. Let me just be. It's clearly a coping mechanism. Don't make it a bad thing.
But it was so fun too because like there's something about creating an entire roster of people you know, that everything that happens in the game, that if I was just playing with a stock team would just be part of the game, became like funny.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, oh, Alexandra, you twisted your ankle and you're out for 3 games. Like that's a fun thing that happened. Or like, you know, my buddy Paul of Myth Understood, who moved to Scotland, him and his husband Cal are both in the game. They're a defensive line, the 2 of them. And Cal, his husband, somehow in the sliders or whatever, like became the meanest person in the league. And he like had the most fights, the most penalty box time. And it's just like, I don't know, there was just like a lot of comedy and joy that came from it at a time when I was just like fucking miserable otherwise. So honestly, I think the thing that I'm probably at the top of my list, the art that I'm most thankful for, is fucking surprisingly NHL 24 for PlayStation.
I love that. And then the joy that you just got in recounting it.
At that point, we were doing our stuff remote. I was doing the PWP, Pro Wrestling Palski's remote. And on that show, we do like video watch-alongs.
Yeah.
So I have a somewhere under here, I have like a capture card, like a box that allows me to capture the PlayStation for watching stuff.
Yeah.
And so what I started doing was I started just opening up OBS, the software, as I was playing, and I started just like hitting record. So occasionally I could just record things, and I still have on like the hard drive here, like I have like so much fun little clips of like my friends
that's great
playing hocky in NHL and like doing fun things and fun moments. And I haven't, but I'm like, oh, what I want to do is I want to put together a little TikTok or something. And dude. I haven't given myself the time to like edit it all together. But I'm like, oh, there's a funny like 2-minute clip.
There's something in
of
there.
Like, hey, remember when I moved across the country? I had a mental breakdown and I missed you all. Here's the reason.
Here's what came out of it.
Yeah. I have to make that still.
I love that. That's a good holiday little treat to yourself.
Yeah.
Into your wrap up. I got 2 quick pairs that I just thought of. 2 concerts this year because I live entertainment means a lot to me. I saw both Yellow Wolf and Modest Mouse, very different concerts, but both of them with my fiance, and that was
Yellow Wolf is the hip hopper with the bleached hair.
Yellow Wolf is on Eminem's label. He's got long hair. He's like a redneck. He's
I'm confusing.
He's very
I'm thinking of Cisco.
No, of course, Unleash the Dragon. Very similar. No, Yellow Wolf is like if instead of a trailer park in Detroit, it was the trailer park of Alabama for Eminem. He's I think. No one's as talented as Eminem, but he's at least in the same conversation of like, holy crap. But it was really cool because that was my first hip hop show with my fiance, and we're both hip hop heads, and she didn't know Yellow Wolf at all, but it was really cool her not only discovering him in real time, but seeing what hit and what didn't, her seeing the crowd. Because Yellow Wolf's crowd is like equal parts neck tattoo and the occasional, there was like juggalos on stage. There was actual gang members. There was a moment where the Bloods and the Crips of LA met in the middle and like shook hands on stage. And I was like, I don't know if I'm safe. There was this, like, it was very intense.
I should not be here.
Yeah, I'm like, as the white in the room. But it was really intense to see.
I think that was Yellow Wolf.
He's tatted enough. I think he gets away. But he is so broadly everyone that I think it's a unifying voice in hip hop if you discover him the right way, because like, I see
sort of the way mainstream media has accepted Jelly Roll as a person.
Very similar.
Right. Yeah.
Like I think of
when I see Jelly Roll and I'm like, I don't get it.
when I see a Confederate flag, I have a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
When I see Yellow Wolf, I don't have that reaction, even though he's around the flag. Like he's an equalizer of culture.
Even though he was born wrapped in it, I'm sure.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that he is that calming to me that I can be like, I don't have a knee-jerk rage. So the concert was cool because it's similar, where it's like a lot of people coming together over the music.
Right.
And like, for example, there was a medley, like, when an artist covers songs and sometimes they transition, he went from he did Garth Brooks into Method Man into Metallica,
right,
and all live with just vinyl.
Right.
So he just like, it was incredible. And that's how like prolific he is stylistically. So that was cool with her. And then Modest Mouse, I'd never seen them and I've loved them for like 25 years. It was the 20th anniversary of Good Times for People Who no, the name of the album is Good News for People Who Love Bad News. The last track on it's called Good Time. But the album hit 20 years this year. So they played the entirety of the album front to back.
Wow.
And it was so cool because like I've listened to that album so many times that way.
There's something so fun about going to see a band who's playing the album that you most
exactly.
Yeah. And
the whole time just chills.
And not that it's not fun listening to a band play songs you don't know, because
but when you know
always,
the next thing's coming, the dopamine that hits when you're like,
well, because you get the live experience of a thing that you've experienced not live hundreds of times.
And for 20 years in this case. Yeah. And then they left stage and we knew they were going to do an encore.
Right.
They did an hour and a half of singles after.
That's great.
I saw 2 concerts.
That's a good.
I saw a fucking band that I love play an album, and then I got to see every song I wanted to see except like 3.
It's literally like it's the exact opposite. This just came to mind because it's like the exact opposite to me of like Less Than Jake. Do you know? Like
I know of them.
But they just bring a big wheel out with all their songs.
Oh yeah,
on
it's
it,
like
and they spin the wheel.
Yeah,
and that's a really fun way to do a show because they don't have a set list.
That is fun.
But then what happens is you're almost guaranteed to not hear the groupings,
the things you want, or you'll never hear the parrot trio.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
But yeah, so those 2 meant a lot to me, and sharing them, and then quickly, comics, Ultimate Spider-Man really changed the game for me.
I thought I was to grab that first trade,
dude.
Yeah,
I really thought like I'd not grown out of, but like I hadn't been liking Spider-Man for so long. I was like, is this just not my humor anymore? Is it like a character that I like nostalgically?
Or have you aged out of the market it's written
exactly? Because like I'm having that right now with there's a Gen Z writer on Deadpool, and most of the jokes are like, no cap. And I'm like, fuck you. But like, I'm struggling with that currently, but I've been reading Spider-Man since I was 2. Right. So not loving any Spider-Man title, I was like, I feel so hollow. It felt so, and then Ultimate Spider-Man came out and I was like, oh, they wrote it for
Salvation.
Me. And it's so well written. It's so inventive. I look forward to it every month. So as someone who talks about comics for a living, having my guy be that good was really fulfilling.
That's beautiful. You know what else I'm thankful for? I'm thankful for Robin West Parker.
Oh boy,
giving me the keys to his apartment.
Whoa, I didn't.
I want to tell you. I want to tell you
this down for me.
I want to tell you this little story. This is the last little tidbit before we get out of here. And this is for an audience of 1, but also the rest of the listeners, because I don't know whether he's realized the extent of what has occurred.
I'm fascinated,
and this is really funny to me, and probably mostly funny to me and nobody else. But I don't care.
That's why it's at the end of the pod.
So never give me the keys to your apartment when you leave, because I will do something annoying in your apartment. It is a part of my personality. I apologize. It's just the way that it is. So I've been working with Robin on something, and he was out of town. I needed to go get something from his apartment that I had to grab. So I went in, and I was in a rush, but I was like, oh, I got to do something. I was like, oh, what would be funny is if I just like flipped a couple little things upside down. Like he's got like a little comic book shelf with like a bunch of little things. And there was like a little shot glass. And like, oh, I'll flip that upside down. I just like 1 or 2 little things I thought would be really funny. And so I started just like randomly flipping some shit upside down. And I got this text message when he came home. Let's see, where is come on. And it's this text message tells me that I don't think, okay, great. I just got home a couple hours ago. Forgot you were in here, and I had a brief panic, wondering why some of my stuff was upside down. And so just to paint the picture, he probably saw like the
shot glass.
The shot glass, like I said. There's like he has like an Avengers Blu-ray that's like propped up and open like under his TV. It's like that's upside down. You know, like
so like someone breaking in, but very trivial.
Little things. And then a little bit later he goes, and the coffee mugs? Because if you open his shelf, all of his coffee mugs are upside down. But then I never heard anything else. So what I don't think he realizes, Robin, is that if you go through your comic book collection, you'll notice most of it is upside down. And I didn't bring out entire chunks and then flip them. I did individual flips.
Wow.
So it's still numerically left to right, 1 through 10. All of Walking Dead is upside down. Select titles
monster.
from DC are upside down. Oh, but it doesn't end there. I'm not sure if you've noticed that your router I've placed upside down.
Robin's never giving out his keys.
Their magnets on your refrigerator are upside down. Specific Blu-rays.
He stopped texting because he's having a full rage attack. He's realizing that you should never have been in his home.
He has this little like abstract piece of artwork on his counter.
He might not notice.
That I just like a little wooden thing with like a dog, I think, and like that's upset. There are so many little things that I am sure. Like I'm hoping he just heard this right now, went over into his comic book cabinet, went, "Oh fuck, what the fuck?" and is now realizing.
I can almost guarantee it
because you wouldn't notice it at first. No, you wouldn't notice it at first.
This is evil.
I contemplated just flipping over all his furniture, but I didn't have a lot of time.
All right, I was gonna say. I mean, then he'd be clued in to check everything. So it's almost more.
But what would have happened is that he would have assumed that's it.
Ah, fair.
Because I was like, oh, if only I could have done.
6 months from now, he'll find one more thing, which is what's funny.
He's gonna be finding stuff forever. The amount of things in that apartment that are just like very casual, and it's not like ridiculous. It's just like very casually, just like that, just like really annoyingly. And it's not that funny, but it's going to bring me joy. It's going to bring me joy, especially now that I know he'll hear this and he'll
know
think,
the extent more of some of these.
I'm going to get a text message at any moment from him hearing this and go like, "You son of a bitch!"
You're giving yourself a little seed for the future.
Yeah, even though I'm still saying I didn't do it, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about. Well, this is verbal contract in the state of California.
Yeah,
legally,
it's just entertainment.
Yeah,
it's a podcast. This isn't our real selves.
Not at all.
I'm just a cast.
Yeah, he's cast. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Koi Cast, starring Jake Lloyd Bacon as Cast. Robin, good luck. We'll be back in 2 weeks, in which we'll be in the last month of 2024, which is bananas, which means we're only a couple episodes away from Letterboxding, and I am very excited for some Letterboxd breakdowns. You know, I love that episode. We'll be here every week, though, with the patron-only pod. If you guys would like to join the patron-only pod, you can find hundreds, approaching thousands of reviews.
I don't think that's true.
It's got
reviews. Okay, I thought you were gonna say episodes.
No.
I was like, wow, bro, you really took a leap there.
No, like I would say we're in the commas.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure of it because there's tags. I wonder if you could just see how many tags there are.
Almost guaranteed.
Because I put like a tag on each thing for each property.
I would say we're at like 16 to 1800, therefore approaching thousands, plural. I wasn't being hyperbolic for once.
POP 212 this week.
POP 212. Which means if you multiply that by 6, we're at least 1,300 reviews. So you check that out, dear listeners, especially new listeners, because I'm going to start advertising this show more. Basically, we review so much Scott. On the Patreon Only Pod. Thanks to Scott. This episode's brought to you by Scott reminding me to advertise this show. Also, tell your friends, because I definitely need to grow this out a bit, because I've been doing it for 4 years with Jake, and it's on me. But check out the Patreon Only Pod for lots and lots of reviews. We talk about movies, we talk about TV, we talk about art, kind of like this episode. This episode was a little POP adjacent. Ish. But yeah, and as always, 818-794-0722, or you can send a voice memo or email to contact@koicast.com. And hey, it's the holidays, which means you can check out koicast.com for all of your merch needs. That call was brought to you by a shirt in the wild. If you see a shirt in the wild, you give them a high five, a nice crisp high five.
It really shouldn't go unsaid that merchandise is not just fun for you to get some sweet merch, wear a nice hoodie, wear a nice hat, whatever, but also it does actually kind of help the show because people do see it and go, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Why should I get that? Or what is this inside joke? Or
you're helping twice.
And it is beneficial. We've heard on more than one occasion that somebody saw something and was like, oh, that looks like a thing that like the gift horse shirt. Yeah. It's like, that's clearly a Deadpool reference.
Which has been bootlegged, which means we've made
it. Doesn't make sense. Yeah. But yeah, so please consider checking out the shop. You can find all that at koicast.com. You can also
Great gifts.
You can also go to koicast.com and click the drop-down menu and check out the support page. It is that time of the year. I always ask during this giving season, if you're enjoying the program and you want to help us thrive, you want to keep us going, please consider doing a little bit extra this month, this end of year, these months, I guess. And check out the support page. There's a ton of ways that you can support the program. We do the show with no ads, no sponsors. It's just us. We don't make much money off of it. I think if we were to break down a minimum wage hourly rate, we're probably losing money. But
for sure.
It's not about that. It's about making it sustainable for us just to continue doing, because it's an enjoyable thing to do.
Break even's the goal.
Yeah, and so you can make direct donations through the support page. You can buy stuff off of the Amazon wish list there. You can set up recurring payments, and of course, the best way to do that is the aforementioned Patreon account.
And you get all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, so please consider showing your support over at either clicking the support tab at koicast.com or going directly to dragonwagonradio.com/support.
Very much appreciated, and we'll be back in 2 weeks with more KoiCast, and we'll be here this week and next week with the Patron Only Pod. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening, and thank you, as always, to Comic Books for existing. We'll see you soon, you lovelies.
If you're enjoying this podcast or any podcasts on the Dragon Wagon Radio Network, be sure to check out the Dragon Wagon shop. You can tout your podcast pride while supporting your favorite indie podcast network. Make sure to check it often for new items and limited time designs. So shop now at dragonwagonshop.com. Get your dragon swag on.
It's Dragon Wagon.